Welcome back to Ardbeg Day, punks. We hope you've been having a great shindig wherever you are in the world. I'm joined now by Ardbeg brand ambassador Cameron George. But before we talk with Cameron, we've got a couple of more shout outs. First off, hello to Henrik Eriksson, all the way from New Zealand, prize for the furthest away from Isla, I think, probably, today. Also to AJ Lepre in Grand Canyon National Park. Another shout out to Amna Campbell in southern Spain, lucky you. And Jimmy is going to the Viking Cinderella in Stockholm. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Sounds fun though. Right, Cam, let's see what else has been going on today.
Oh man, you know what? Today's been an awesome day. It's been raucous, it's been rollless, the music, the people. I'm just having an absolute fantastic time.
Yeah.
What an
cool,
event.
Man. Absolutely. Well, let's see what else has been going on outside today.
So good to be back having great whiskey with friends here in glorious Ardbeg. So slange your mat, we're about to open the gates. Let's have a good one. Cheers all.
Slange your mat!
Canada! Sweden! Germany!
Brazil!
Poland!
Yorkshire!
America!
Man, that was awesome.
Seriously.
But now it's time for the punk rocktail part of this party. So today we're gonna be trying our hand at two Ardbeg cocktails, both smoky in nature, but each with a rebellious twist. First off, the old Thrashin, next up, the punk lady.
Cool.
So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and start off with the old Thrashin.
Let's do it.
The old Fashion's one of my absolute favorite cocktails, and it's one of the easiest cocktails for you to make there at home as well. So for that sake, let's go ahead and actually throw a little bit of Ardcore just to make it that little bit of extra punch there. Right, so grab your rocks glass. That's the first step.
Sure.
Next,
Right.
you're actually gonna need some fine ice. Edinburgh Ice Company has actually flown out ice all the way here to Isla for
insane,
us.
right?
Insane.
So look at this ice. It's the most amazing stuff.
Beautiful
Look at that.
cubes, crystal clear, perfect ice cubes. These will melt really, really slowly. That means your cocktail doesn't get watered down too fast.
Fantastic.
So let's go ahead and pop that down into the glass. Step number 2.
Right.
Next up, because it's all about measurements. You want to keep equal proportions. That means that all of the ingredients will play really nicely together. So first up, we're actually going to grab our Ardcore. We're going to use about 2 ounces or 60 mLs.
Got you. Okay.
Right? So pop that open, and we'll go directly onto the ice. Make sure that you pour with the labels out so that you look good doing it.
What a professional.
Something like that.
Right.
Something like that. Right.
Great. Smell it already. Wonderful.
Already, taste bud puncturing Ardbeg Hardcore. What a delicious dram. Next up, this cocktail is all about balance. So now you've got the element that's going to act as the heart, the soul, the base of the cocktail, but you're also going to now need something that's a little bit sweet. So we've gone ahead and made a cayenne simple syrup. Where we've actually used honey as the base in the syrup, and then we've added just a little bit of water and a little bit of cayenne pepper just to give it a kick in the hind parts there. Exactly.
Great. Lovely.
So now you're going to use about 25 or about 0.25 ounces, which is about 7 mLs there.
Okay, cool. I'm excited to try this.
This is one of my absolute favorite cocktails.
You can really smell the cayenne actually.
Already,
there,
yeah.
Woo, wow. Yes,
Nice and spicy.
That's
A little bit of
gonna
pepper.
That's gonna give it a real kick.
Right. Next up, because the old fashioned is essentially spirit, sugar, and bitters.
Okay.
What's the one thing that we're missing here?
Bitters.
Bitters, exactly.
Wow.
Well, why reinvent a classic? We're
Right.
gonna go ahead and use Angostura. It's classic.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead with about 2 or 3 dashes. Again, labels out so we look good doing it. There it is. Now, In cocktails, there are two methods of dilution. You can either shake or you can stir a cocktail.
Okay,
So
right.
generally, for citrus-based cocktails, you want to shake them so you get a little bit of aeration.
Okay.
But for something like an old-fashioned, where
Right.
you want that cocktail to not only be wonderfully and delicious, but you also want it to have a delicious texture
Right.
and experience to it. Now, instead of adding air, we're actually going to slowly and gently stir this cocktail.
You learn
instead.
something every day. I did not know that. That's really great.
Exactly.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Right. So stirring this delicious cocktail with a bar spoon. You can use a household spoon. It doesn't need to be
Now,
anything
is the fancy stirring
Well,
motion essential, or
no,
just if
that
you're
only-
a professional bartender?
That only comes with
Yes.
years of
Years of
practice.
practice.
Exactly.
Okay, got you.
Pinky extended,
Pinky,
if you will.
oh,
even.
yeah, absolutely.
And you know you're a true veteran if you taste
Off the back of
off the back of the hand. Just add a little bit
Always
of
tastes
pretension
better.
to it. Exactly. Now, next up, because no cocktail is complete without garnish,
Right.
instead of lemon, I've actually opted for a little bit of orange. Again, just to
bold
bring
move.
a little bit of citrus
Yeah.
and a little bit of sweetness back to the nose and the aromatic qualities of this
Very
cocktail.
nice.
So let's go ahead and express that over the top of the cocktail a couple times. Rub it on the front of the glass and maybe even on the middle of the glass as well.
Jeez.
Take a new garnish, twist it beautifully, and then that way you can rest that directly on the glass. And then it's ready to be served to your esteemed guest.
Is it to me? Well,
Exactly.
Thank you, Cam. Wow.
Cheers. Slanjava.
Cheers, Slanjava. So I'm going to have a little sip.
Hold on tight now.
No, that's absolutely great. I love how the added sweetness and the cayenne together, nothing takes over too much from the whiskey itself. You can really taste the Ardbeg as well. Great cocktail.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
One of
Cheers.
my absolute favorites, and it's easy to do at home. So now that we've had that delicious cocktail, next up, let's try our hand at the Punk Lady, a amped up version of the gin drink, the Pink Lady. Except
Wow.
for this time, we're going to use a little bit of Ardbeg 10-year-old just to give her a smoky edge.
So we're replacing gin and putting Ardbeg in instead? Is that the plan?
Partially. This is
Partially,
actually going to be a
ah.
two-pull cocktail. So you're now going to use the Ardbeg 10-year as the heart, the soul, the base of the cocktail.
Okay.
But the elongator and the kind of mid-palate is actually going to be extended by a delicious Polish rye spirit.
okay.
Vodka, I know it's sacrilege.
My gosh.
We can only use it as lengthener.
You brought vodka to the Ardbeg distillery?
Am I kicked out already?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Maybe, you never
All right.
know.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we
Yes,
add a little
convince
bit of
me, convince
Ardbeg
me.
and a little bit
Okay.
of Belvedere
Sounds
vodka
good.
together. So now, we mentioned that we wanted to stir the last cocktail.
Right.
This cocktail, because it has egg white to
Right.
it, now aeration is completely important. So this cocktail, we're actually going to shake and then fine strain and serve it up in a wonderful, almost coupette-like glass there.
Very nice.
Right. So because we're making cocktails with our heart and our head, we're going to start with citrus first. Make sure that you use the cheapest ingredient first at
Right,
home.
yeah.
That way, if you make a mistake, you're not pouring out the most delicious spirit ever to grace the face of the earth, the one and only Ardbeg 10 years
Ardbeg,
old.
right.
So we'll need about half an ounce of citrus. That'll be, again, about 14, 15 mLs of citrus there.
Okay, and how do we work that out if we didn't have a measure? Is that like half a lemon? What do we usually go with?
Exactly, that's perfect. Basically, rule of thumb, 1 lemon will give you 1 ounce of
Right.
citrus.
Okay.
So therefore, even though I'm really bad at math, half a lemon means a half
There
an
we
ounce
go.
of citrus.
Wow.
Right?
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just squeeze that directly into the glass with an elbow juicer. You probably have one of these in your household. If you're somebody who's got an automated juicer, well done.
Yeah.
But nothing beats
I
old-fashioned.
have exactly that one. Yeah, it's funny that.
Right. Next up, we're going to follow that up with just a little bit of simple syrup. Again, 'cause cocktails are all about balance.
Yeah.
So we've started with about 14 to 15 mLs of lemon juice. We now need about 15 mLs of something sweet.
Yeah.
Instead of using only 15 mLs of a 1-to-1 simple syrup, which means essentially one part sugar, 1 part water, we're actually going to split that down into 7 mLs of simple syrup
Right.
and 7 mLs of grenadine, a house-made grenadine here as well.
Awesome. Right.
So 7 mLs of each of them. Again, making cocktails with our heart and our head. We're going to make sure that we measure. So 7 mLs should be right
And
about
proportions
there.
are really important when you're making good cocktails, so that once
Absolutely.
you've got it right, you know how to repeat that, and you know you've got the flavors balanced. And
Exactly.
right?
Well, I mean, see, you're learning something new every single day there, David. Right. Now we're going to need another 7 mLs of this wonderful grenadine. which is basically a pomegranate simple syrup, more or less. If I
Right.
had to bring this into everyday kind of jargon. Then we're gonna go ahead and use about 50, or about half an ounce of Belvedere vodka. This is where things fall off the rails for you. I know.
Belvedere is great.
It's delicious vodka, not quite Ardbeg,
No.
but delicious vodka. Right, so half an ounce, or about 25 mLs, 25 to 30 mLs of vodka. And then the star of the show, the absolutely iconic and one of my favorite whiskeys in the world, Ardbeg 10-year-old.
Can't go wrong with that, can you?
Cannot go wrong with that. So this cocktail, we're gonna end up using about 1 1/4 ounces. That's about 40 mLs for you at home there.
Bit more.
Exactly, a bit more. All right, not a problem.
You're the expert.
You know what? We'll make it 1 1/2 just for the sake
Fantastic.
of it. There we go.
That's what we need.
There it is. So now we've used about 50 mLs of
Nice
the
and smoky.
Ardbeg 10-year-old. David Blackmore changing my recipes on the fly, but it's sure to be delicious. And the last thing, again, to give it that body and that texture.
What have we got there?
I've actually pre-cracked a bunch of eggs to take only the egg white.
Wow.
I didn't want to be on camera fumbling with eggs and making mistakes and probably dropping them. So we've made it very easy for me to use this. Again, 1 ounce of egg white there.
Wow.
Now, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna add a little bit of ice, and then we're gonna shake this cocktail for dilution, and then we're gonna garnish it and serve it up for you. Does that sound all right?
Sounds delicious. Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, let's do it. So, add your ice to your shaker tin. I generally build my cocktails in the smaller side of the shaker tin.
Right.
That way it's a little bit easier for me to see what's happening inside.
And would you always add the ice last? You'd never put the ice in first?
1,000%. Add the ice as the last ingredient, because that ice is actually going to start diluting as soon as you put it into the vessel here.
Yeah.
So to control that, add the ice very last. That way you get a controlled rate of dilution here.
Got you.
Take your shaker tin, pop it down on top. Gently give it a couple of tamps there.
Right.
You don't want this thing opening up all over you as it did on live TV once for me before.
Wow. So let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Better luck this time.
Right.
And shake it like
Cross
you
fingers.
mean it, essentially. Let's go. That's a wonderful sound here in a cocktail shake.
Quite a technique you've got there, Cam.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to get as much aeration. That's why I'm kind of pushing, pulling, and almost turning a little bit as I'm doing that. I'm basically folding the cocktail in on itself.
And you've still got the Ardbeg logos facing the camera. Well done.
For something.
Well done. Yeah.
Cheers. All right, that should be about right. I'm starting to hear these ice cubes, or the collisions of the ice cubes, become softer and softer and softer. Now I know the cocktail should be about properly diluted.
Fantastic.
If you can't hear, just use the adage, shake it till it's almost too cold to hold. Right?
Yeah.
There it is. All right. See if we can get this bad boy open. There we go. Third time's the charm.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
can't
this
wait to
seems
taste
like it's
this
gonna
one.
be all right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, because we've shaken this cocktail, we actually need to fine strain it, so we remove all of those tiny little ice chunks.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The punk lady.
Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Wait, you're okay. Wait, what are you get?
What is this outrageous desecration of Ardbeg? What are you doing?
It's good to see you, Dr.
Yeah,
Bell.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
God,
Jeez.
Come on, explain.
I guess this cocktail's for you then?
Right, okay.
Let's do it. So I'm gonna hit
Well,
it.
you know what, Cam? There's a first time for everything. Maybe I will just like this.
Maybe.
And you know, it's actually my first time here live at the distillery on Ardbeg Day for a number of years. I'm worried about this.
Is this what happens?
Give me that.
Ardbeg?
Give me
This
that.
is what happens.
This is outrageously tasty. How'd you do that?
Well, you know, a little bit of measurement, some magic, and a little bit of luck, and of course the great whiskeys that you make here at Ardbeg.
It's just so beautifully integrated. I would never have guessed that.
Wow.
Do you want to taste it?
I would love to.
No, you're not.
Oh,
It's
thank you
mine.
very much.
It's mine.
Wow. So, hey, speaking of outrageously tasty, I think we've got two Ardbeg's favourites of Cam's to taste, right?
Absolutely.
First up, Ardbeg An Oa, I believe, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
You've got
You're
some
not
you
having
prepared.
any, none for
Oh,
you.
Please go
No, it's
on.
okay, I'm only
I promise
joking.
to behave.
There you go. Here we go, Cam.
Slanjava, thank you.
Yeah, let me grab that.
So this is one of your favorites,
Yeah,
Cameron.
absolutely. You know, if Ardcore is the taste bud puncturing, kind of pointed, spiky metal ball of a dram, Ardbeg An Oa is soft, supple, and almost rounded. You know, I love the way that the whiskey creation team has folded in not only a little bit of first, second, and third fill ex-bourbon barrel, but also the utilization of Pedro Jimenez sherry and a little bit of virgin American oak, as well as various other casks, as I've heard you say numerous
Various
times.
secret ones. And of course, the secret with this is the marrying vats, which just tie it all together. The whiskey sits in there for a minimum of 3 months. And I like that. I like the way you described that cocktail as well, the Punk Lady, which I think is beautifully integrated. Shall we, gents?
Let's.
Wonderful.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's beautiful. There's an herbal or herbaceous note that really jumps to the forefront. Soot and fruit that take up the mid palate as well. And then the classic Ardbeg soul that is heavily, heavily peated leaves me lingering.
Herbal? E-R-B-E-L?
Pronounce the H. Pronounce the H. H. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
What is the bottling proof on Ardbeg An Oa? It's non-chill filtered, so we know it's
Non-chill
above
filtered,
46.
yes. It says it on the bottle.
All right, so we've got it back here. Here we go. What have we got? It's 40.
0.6.
46.
0.6.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
6.6.
As you say, Cameron, all our Begs are non-chill filtered, so we have to bottle it at a slightly higher strength. Do you take that into account when you're making your cocktails?
Absolutely. You know, oftentimes, especially with An Oa, I'll make what we call brown, bitter, and stirred cocktails. Very similar to the old fashioned, or other folks might know things like the Manhattan as a brown, bitter, and stirred cocktail that you can make easily at home as well. To me, An Oa sings perfectly, not only in the glass because of its complexity and the weight on palate as well, but also because of the way that it mingles and plays so well with other ingredients.
I can only but imagine that the slightly higher strength sits well in a cocktail because you still taste it as you could with the 10-year-old in that.
1000%.
You got something else?
Yeah. So, what about tasting your next favorite? What about Ardbeg Kelpie, Cam? What do you
That
think?
was one of my absolute favorite releases as a young whiskey connoisseur. That was one that immediately kind of grabbed me and raptured me and shook me about just a little bit. It actually turned me into a massive Ardbeg fan. So Kelpie is a whiskey that to me is near and dear to my heart, and as somebody who I absolutely laud for their experimentation with oak. The Ardbeg Forest and the Black Sea cask, those were a wonderful project.
That was the real key, Cameron. It was the Black Sea oak, which was very difficult to get hold of. You know, I was liaising with the Phanagoria cooperage for about 5 years before they finally agreed to make some casks for me. And of course, that's what I used to give Kelpie its unique taste profile. Very different from American oak, very different from French oak.
Yeah.
So, as if by magic, I actually have 3 glasses of Kelpie.
So organised, David.
Look at that. Now, of course, there you go, Doctor. Cameron George.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And of course, the lovely deep gold colour was from the very heavy toast that I had done to the inside of the cask. Not a char like for Ardbeg Alligator, but a heavy, heavy toast.
Ooh. Wow, so very different.
Absolutely.
Just so different.
Compare the two together.
Yeah.
The colors are strikingly, there's a massive difference in the coloration there, whereas like with An Oa, you see a bronzing and even a coppering as you start to stretch the whiskey towards its rim. Here with Kelpie, I'm just absolutely in love with the auric gold nature of the whiskey there as well.
Wow.
On the nose.
It's a massive explosion of taste. Sorry, on the nose.
Yeah, I was just gonna say on the nose, there is definitely a toasted kind of roasted, almost like almond element to the whiskey, and marzipan that I absolutely love as well. And then as I start to dig down just a little bit farther, I don't have to search for it very hard, but the classic Ardbeg really starts to leap out. Is there ex-bourbon oak and ex-bourbon cask that's used in this as well?
There's a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I have to say. You know, I'm very coy and secretive about my recipes. But you know, the real heart here is the Black Sea oak, and that's where you're getting that almost meaty, savoury note from.
Salted cashews, something like that as well.
Yeah. The salinity, the saline in that whiskey is just beautiful.
Yeah, seriously.
Like when you take a sip, it's almost like an explosion in the mouth. It's so richly flavored, so full flavored. You know, dark toffee, charcoal, something bittersweet in there.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a bitterness as well. And now that you've said that, again, on the palate I tasted it, but now as I dive my nose back into it, there's almost a bittering that becomes apparent on the olfactory system as well. Just a delicious dram. It's like drinking Ardbeg days past. Well, quite literally.
Yeah,
Because it is.
It is indeed.
The thing I love about all these Ardbeg releases is that, you know, you can sit for 30 minutes with your nose in the glass before you even drink it and just get all these different layers of flavour coming through.
Yeah, the finish on Ardbegs, it just keeps going as well. You know, sometimes when I've finished a glass, just the empty glass, you can nose that. You know, it's really comes. Some of the most expressive notes in Ardbeg come through that way, I think.
You know, this is a big whiskey. As we say in Scottyland, this will put hairs in your chest.
Absolutely.
Still waiting for a few of those.
Absolutely. What do you think, guys? Pretty good.
That's absolutely delicious.
Pretty amazing day as well, hey?
What an incredible day.
Right.
It's so great to just
Yeah.
be back live with all of you.
Live, absolutely.
Well,
So,
what a treat for me to be here personally and to meet you guys once again.
Absolutely.
Even although I was a little bit angry with you earlier, Cameron, but it was all in fun.
I apologize.
Right.
cheers, guys.
Cheers.
It's been fun,
Slange.
absolutely. Slange, absolutely. Well, guys, that's all for this session, punks. Next on the billing is closing time, I'm afraid. Join Jackie at 5:15 sharp for the official closing, when we'll take a look at what's been kicking off at the distillery. And of course, we are going to squeeze in a couple more tastings, so see you soon.